What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. Friendly reminder, this is what my hair looks like when it simply air dries. Bit of a mess, but could be worse. I simply didn't have time to blow dry it today. I saw some ripe bananas around the house and I'm personally someone who doesn't find the brown skin too appetizing, so I thought I'd turn them into something else. I love having snacks around the house, and if they're healthy as well, I love them even more, so I will be making delicious banana muffins from my own recipe without flour or extra sugar, so let's get into it. Feel free to follow along. I will also write down all the ingredients below. The only thing is that it's actually my own recipe, so I don't know how much of each ingredient actually is in this, but I always work with my gut feeling, so if you're actually planning to make these, just follow along. I will be adding 2 ripe bananas. I forgot to put a knife here, so I'll just do it the way I've seen it online. Oh, it looks like the banana is giving birth. But then again, inside it just looks like the normal banana. So what do we learn from this? As always, never judge a book by its cover. Just as tasty. I'm just not gonna comment on it. As in most banana baking recipes, first off you have to kind of, dig in and mushker it up. So let's get comfortable. I remember I always used to make this recipe when I was, I think, 14 years old, thinking that I would get ripped and jacked and all muscled up if I would go on a low-carb diet. So this was my go-to baking treat that I made myself, and most people think bananas are extremely healthy, but they're actually not that healthy because they have a lot of fruit sugar, a lot of carbs, potassium. I mean, obviously all of these things aren't bad, but if you're going on a diet and think only eating bananas is gonna slim you up, sorry to disappoint. They kind of turn into this porridge texture. This is exactly what it should look like. As you can see, it's not a banana anymore, it's perfect. Make sure that the egg white and the yolk really blend in, because we don't want them to still be separated in the muffin. That's nasty. So yeah, you should be aiming for a omelet texture. The egg should definitely be the most dominant ingredient so far, just because it kind of liquidates the whole thing. Next to the bananas, the most important ingredient in this recipe is chopped up pulverized nuts. We're looking at a mix of hazelnuts and almonds here. This is generally perfect to add into a lot of baking recipes. I also love to add this to chocolate, just because I'm a huge fan of combining the crunchy texture and the taste of nuts with either chocolate or also light doughs and bananas. Make sure to go slow though, because you're not trying to add any additional water. Okay, I definitely need more, so I don't even know how many grams this was, so I'm actually going from my gut here. The nuts are basically the substitution for the flour in the baking recipe here. Perfect. As you can see, it's already a bit thicker. It's still quite liquidy, but the nuts also sog it up a bit. It's gonna be fine. In 5 minutes, it's gonna be just right. I know I said we're not gonna add any sugar, and we're not. This is generally just like some sweetening. It's stevia. We're already at the last ingredient, which is baking powder. Do not add a whole pack of baking powder. Baking soda and baking powder aren't the same thing, so make sure you're using baking powder for this. Only add a bit. I would say that's enough. Tastes great. Crunchy, but still like banana. I love it. So the dough should look like this, and since it's already done, it's now time to prepare the muffin tray. I have space for 12 muffins. That has to be enough. I'm definitely not doing a second batch just because of some leftover dough. But hey, we're not here to waste food, so I probably just lick up the rest. Perfect. Well, now it's time to put the dough into the sheets. So as you can see, the consistency is still kind of liquidy for a dough, but it definitely is thick enough. Make sure to leave a bit of space in the muffin sheets, of course, just like with every muffin recipe, because they're supposed to rise. I'm actually really excited for these now. And not that you should ever feel guilty, but if you're the type of person who feels guilty after eating something sweet, you definitely don't have to feel guilty after consuming this, because it really doesn't get much healthier. There's not even butter in this, so make sure you don't keep them in the oven for too long, because otherwise they're gonna be dry and there's no turning back from there. And what I love about this recipe is that the muffins actually taste like banana. I think that's also because there isn't any flour in there. The texture and the taste of the nuts simply isn't as dominant as flour, since flour, once you put it in a dough, kind of really takes over. Always make sure to use a silicone spatula to get out all the extra dough that's stuck on the sides of the bowl, because you don't want to waste any food. So the dough is done. It fit perfectly into what is actually now 11 muffin sheets. I didn't have that many papers in the end. Now they're about to go into the oven at 180 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, so make sure to Google it before you put them into the oven, because if you put them in at 180 Fahrenheit, nothing's gonna happen. Sorry to disappoint, but we'll be back in a second. The muffins are done. Here is one of them. As you can see, all of them turn slightly gold brown at the top. That's when you know they are ready. It's still a bit warm, but I can't wait to dig in. However, before I do that, with it, I have some leftover vanilla cream cheese frosting from my birthday cake. Shout out to Cody, birthday boy. That happened last week. But yeah, I mean, this basically tastes amazing with anything, so let's dig in. As you can see, they are extremely moist because there's so much natural moisture that doesn't come from a fat like butter or oil. It all comes from the banana, so it's actually like, so you wouldn't really need some cream on top, but just tastes nicer. So yeah, I have it here. I'm gonna put a bit of the vanilla cream cheese frosting on top. Now, if you don't think this looks good, lock me up. Wow, the frosting really puts the icing on top, literally. With complete honesty, this is actually an amazing recipe, and if you have the time and some ripe bananas around the house, make sure to check it out and try it for yourself. Wow. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like bananas, and even if you don't like healthy snacks, this is definitely a recipe for you. It doesn't taste healthy, if you know what I mean. It really tastes like a good baked dessert. It has this cakey texture but with a crunch, and especially if you add some frosting on top, it's perfect. But also without the frosting, it's moist, it's soft, it's crunchy, it's everything you want it to be. Only a heads up, the longer they stand around, the more moisture they lose, and that moisture is lost through the bottom of the muffin. So whatever you keep them on, make sure it's either a towel or a baking sheet or a napkin. But apart from that, I could eat them all at once. I'm sure you could as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and take care. Bye.